None other than William Murphy. William Murphy, Bishop William Murphy. I tell you, that young man is such a worshiper. And I'm telling you, if you've never been in a worship experience with him live while he's leading in worship, I'm telling you, it's an awesome experience. And I tell you, I really appreciate the ministry of Bishop William Murphy. He's a friend and a brother of mine. We recently, a couple of years ago, had the opportunity to go on a missions trip to the Dominican Republic together. Good morning, Balikalu. Balu Kali, rather. Twisted it up this time. God bless you. We had an opportunity to go on a missions trip together to the Dominican Republic, and we went to a school, a children's school, and when the children saw Bishop Murphy come in, they really got excited because they even knew who he was over in the Dominic. And Bishop Murphy, he is really, really a servant. He's got a servant's heart. He got up and he led us in praise and worship with the children. And that brother went in as though he was leading a crowd of 10,000 people into worship. And it was so authentic because he loves worshiping God, and you can feel his anointing as he worships. I believe that that's the way we ought to be in our praise and our worship. It shouldn't just be for show or to play to crowds. And a person who has the notoriety, the national and even now worldwide notoriety of a William Murphy, sometimes I've been around people like that who've had that kind of notoriety, but didn't possess a servant's heart. And some of these gospel artists, they are more entertainers than they are worshipers. But I can honestly say that William Murphy is a worshiper, and I'm so delighted. I try to give people their props and give them their accolades of praise while I have an opportunity. I thank God for the many different gifts in the body of Christ, and I really am am grateful that I'm not one who has a jealous heart or a jealous spirit. No, no, no. If I talk about being jealous, I'm really being facetious. I'm just kidding you. But man, I admire people who God has gifted, and not only can Bishop Murphy sing and lead and worship, but brother can preach. The brother can preach. Praise God for that. All right, those of you that are joining us for the first time, if you've never hit the subscribe button, take the opportunity and this time to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on the notifications so that you'll be notified every time we have an opportunity to come on and share with you. We're in the midst of a campaign that we're calling Mug Mania, and if you want to be a part of our Mug Mania, what that entails is that I'm inviting people who would love to send me a mug with an inspirational message on it to do so. Feel free to do so. My team member, Sister Tisha Hillman, she's going to put the information on the screen for us to let you know where you can send that mug, give you the church information and the church address. I know most of you on here already know the church information, the church address, because you're part of our church family. But we have people who join us from across the nation that may not have that information readily at hand. And so we're going to provide that information just in case someone wants to send an inspirational mug. And when you send that mug, I'm going to use that mug on one of our morning sessions, and I'm going to feature your mug. And if that message on there is inspirational enough and the Spirit of the Lord leads me to, I'm going to use that inspirational message as a topic of discussion on one of our morning sessions. This morning, my mug may not be inspirational to anyone else, but it's inspiring to me. It has been inspiring to me. It symbolizes the work that I've gone through. That's my Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. That's the seminary where I earned my doctoral degree, and it's actually my doctoral studies mug. You see there at the very bottom of the screen, it has the label doctoral studies. I don't know how focused I'm getting at or whatever, but it's there. It's there, and it reminds me of a time when I had to really put in some work to get some things done. I had to be really committed to the process. As a matter of fact, they gave us those mugs at the beginning of the program when I first entered in. And I guess they were saying, you better get ready to buckle down and do some work, and you're going to need to drink a whole lot of coffee or mocha, whatever it is you drink. And I found that to be so very true. But it was worth it all. It was worth it all. Anything worth having is worth working for. Good morning, Lachelle Moore and Kia Fitzpatrick. All of you, God bless you. God bless you. Again, we're delighted to be with you this morning. This morning, I want to encourage you to just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Now, I know there's a whole lot of things that come to mind when you hear that phrase, keep it moving. But I want to be very specific. Don't allow your life to become stagnant. Don't allow yourself to fall into a season of stagnation for whatever reason. You got to keep it moving. You got to keep it moving. First thing I want you to understand, I know that you all have heard this because it's been often said that life is short. Life is short. And in the grand scheme of things, life is short. Life is very short. In the grand scheme of things, because life is so short, time, therefore, is really very precious. It is. I mean, think about it. The time that we've been allotted on the face of the earth is both short and it is precious. And since time is so precious, time is not something that you can afford to just waste. Time is not something that you can just take for granted and just use it frivolously. But I think it is so important that we use our time wisely because one of the greatest realities is the fact that none of us really know how much time we have been allotted. First Lady and I were just briefly talking about that on yesterday, how time is moving on, and time goes so fast. There are some things that we desire to do, she and and I mentioned the fact, I said, time certainly is not waiting on us. And while we don't deem ourselves to be old people, we do realize that we are older, in terms of our time, our lifespan, rather. I mean, think about this. For most of us, most people over the age of 35 or 40 have already lived over half of their lifetime. I mean, on an average, when you think about it on an average, I know a lot of people are living into their 70s and some are living into their 80s, but even still, that is a gift from God. That is somewhat unusual in some circumstances for people to live that long. And from what I understand, that as time goes on, life expectancy becomes shorter and shorter every year. And there's a whole lot of contributing factors to the life expectancy of an individual becoming shorter and shorter. They have a way of scientifically measuring out these things and arriving at certain conclusions. At times they talk about how the life expectancy of a woman is much longer than that of a man, and now, that doesn't mean that that's a hard and fast rule, but the reality is that in a lot of cases is the case. And so I guess I would say to men in particular, make sure you use your time wisely. We as men definitely have to use our time wisely and sparingly, and be very intent about how we use our time. Because again, and this applies to everybody. We don't know rather, how much time we have, how much more of a lifetime that we have, how short it would be, how long it would be, and just based on that uncertainty alone, uh, we should give careful consideration to how we spend our days, how we spend our time. Oftentimes people will accuse others of wasting their time, when in reality, the one who is accusing others of wasting their time is the one who is wasting most of their own time. You know, um, the only way other people can waste your time is that you allow them to waste your time. And when you allow them to waste your time, it is not really they or them who are wasting your time, but it is really you who's wasting your time, because you are the one who can controls or determine how you use your time. I think I shared with you all some time ago that the reality is there is no such thing really as time management, because we really cannot manage our time in and of itself. We can only manage the usage of our time. Uh, why do you say what's the difference, Bishop? Because see, listen, if we could manage time, we can control how time moves. We can say, okay, uh, I'm gonna cause this time to move at this particular pace. I'm going to be able to hit a button and put this time on pause or on hold, and then I can come back and pick it up later. And that is absolutely not the case. So we cannot manage our time, but we can manage our lives. We can manage how we use our time. All of us are allotted the same amount of time, and the time allotment that each one of us have cannot be manipulated in any shape, form, or fashion. Think about it. When you have a deadline, uh, you may be able to change the deadline, but in terms of moving it out a little bit or whatever. But whenever that deadline is set, you haven't really added time. You've just changed when you determine when something needs to be completed. You just change your mind about when. The time is going to come and go. That first deadline that you set, change it or not, that period is going to come and go whether you honor it or not. You know, so you can't manipulate that time. We have 24 hours in a day. No, it matters not how smart you may think you are, how wise you may think you are. You can't reduce that 24 hours to 22 hours. Neither can you extend it to 26 hours. It just doesn't happen. You have no control over time, but you can determine how you're going to use that 24 hours within that day that you have been given. Now, I want to kind of get you thinking in terms of how time is really wasted. One of the areas where time is most wasted is on the trivial matters or issues of life. Just trivial things. We waste a lot of time. Um, uh, I mean, just fussing over trivial things, allowing trivial matters to occupy our mind and our thinking. Just trivial things that really, for the most part, uh, just don't matter. Too often do people allow themselves to remain stuck dwelling on things that add little to no value to their life. There it is again, y'all. I'm going to constantly talk about adding value to your life and to the life of others. And the reason why I have to talk about adding value to your life is because of the fact if you don't know how to add value, or if you can't find ways to add value to your own life, then it's going to be virtually impossible for you to add value to the life of others. And so when you are wasting time being stuck on trivial issues that can neither add value to your life nor take away any value from your life, that is literally a waste of time. That's time and energy that could be allotted to something much more important, much more productive, much more meaningful. I shared with you a few weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, whenever it was, that God has created us to be producers. He's created us to be productive in life. And anytime we are wasting our time brooding over trivial things, trivial matters that can add value, nor that can add no value, nor take away value from our lives, then we are not being productive. To do that literally is to be counterproductive. You're taking away from a particular area of your life that can be used in a more positive way. I want you to think about this, and I know many of you would definitely agree with this statement. Some things are just not deserving of our time and attention. Now, we absolutely cannot control or stop things from happening in our life, because life is a cycle of spontaneous events. Again, none of us know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. We live in a cycle of spontaneity. And so we can't control what happens, what events occur in our lives, but we can control what energy we give to those events, what time, what attention we give to those events. The person that is prone to waste time has not learned to value time. When you're spending all of your time stressing out over things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, it's only because you have not come to really value your time. When you have not learned to value your time, it is likely because you have not really learned and come to understand the value you have as an individual. You are a valuable person. You are a valuable individual. And don't you allow anybody to devalue you as a person, to minimize your significance. You know, some people want to just dismiss you and think you ought to just go away somewhere and hide in obscurity. But no, don't give anybody that type of power. Don't give anybody that type of energy in your life. You got to know that you are a person of worth. Now, I'm really kind of leaning in and laying in on this because some of you, again, because of so many things that occurred in your past, you've lost your sense of value. And because you've lost your sense of value, you don't know how to value the things around you, particularly your time. So you waste your time. The thing that you should keep in mind, you should always bear this in mind, is once you have spent any allotment of time, you cannot get that time back. You cannot pick it up somewhere down the road or somewhere in the future. Once you spent that time is gone. Since wasted time can never be recovered, it is imperative that you not allow yourself to get stuck focusing on things you cannot change. There are a lot of things that you absolutely cannot change. And the past is one of those things you cannot change. Some things you simply have to decide to move on from. You just need to move on from them. Instead of hanging out in that spot, because time is rolling on and you're stuck. You're stuck, still stressing out over something that you cannot change, some event, some occurrence. People like that literally torture themselves daily because they give too much time and energy to things that shouldn't even matter. I want you to just stop and think about that for a little bit. Think about some of the things that you are carrying right now to this day that were initiated more than 20, 30 years ago. You know, some people are guilty of bearing unnecessary self-inflicted pain because they refuse to just let some things go. Let it go. Now, I know some of you are saying, you know, it's not that easy, Bishop. Well, I'm not suggesting how difficult or easy it's going to be. That's really not the point. But the point is, the question you have to ask yourself is, how bad do I want to break free from this thing that has been haunting me all of these years? And it's so ingrained in your spirit that even when you come across things that are similar to what initiated this pain or this burden that you're carrying, when you come across things that are similar to it, you find yourself reliving that thing over and over and over again. It becomes like a Groundhog's Day. Y'all remember that movie, any of you all? I haven't seen it in particular. I've just seen bits and pieces of it, enough to get the gist of it, where the character, I forget who the person that starred in the role is. I see his face, but I can't call his name. But he's reliving this one particular day over and over and over and over again. He lays down and he goes to sleep and he wakes up the next morning and he starts the process all over again. The thing that he just lived on the day before, he's living it over and over again. Some of you are having groundhog experiences, where you're living something over and over again. And unlike the character in the movie, your experiences are much more painful and much more difficult to relive. And I know you want to break free from those things. You want to break free from those past, but you got to make a conscientious decision. And I'll be the first to tell you that it's not always easy, but it is doable. I had to decide that I was not going to continue to allow something that occurred in the past to continuously haunt me and cause me to relive some unnecessary hurts and pains. Because when you allow that to happen, it's no longer the situation that's inflicting the pain. It's no longer even now the individual. Thank you, Rose. That's right. It was Bill Murray that played that role in Groundhog's Day. It's not the situation or the individual that's causing that pain, but it is you continuously inflicting that pain upon yourself because you are allowing yourself to relive something that has traumatized you in the past. Some people carry hurts and pains because they have allowed others to determine what is important to them. And let me say to you right here, never allow others or someone else to determine what is most important to you. See, when you do that, watch this now, you allow yourself to become prisoner of someone else's perspectives. You allow yourself to become prisoner of someone else's preferences. You allow yourself to become prisoner of someone else's problems. Are y'all catching on here? You allow others to keep you prisoner of your past, or you may be even holding someone else prisoner of their past. Either way, that's a bad situation. And please don't be that person that's constantly holding someone else prisoner to their past. You don't want anybody to do it to you. So why would you do it to someone else? But I want you to catch the reoccurring theme there. You allowing someone else to hold you prisoner, to keep you hostage. And I'm going to say something very, very, very harsh here. Some of it stems from things, negative things, that your parents said to you. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but I've witnessed some parents being very cruel toward their children and saying things to their children that can be emotionally damaging for extended periods of time. I don't mean to cause you to relive some things now, but I just want you to just draw your attention to it for the sake of you finally admitting that I need to break free from that. Some of your parents, when they would get upset with you, maybe you made a mistake or did something not quite right, they would call you stupid. They would call you dumb. You know, and at the time they probably thought that these things were just little no harm things said in the heat of a moment. And if you were to sit down and talk to them right now, those of you that would have the opportunity, they might would say to you, "Oh, I didn't mean nothing by that. I was just messing with you. I was just upset with you at the time." But they didn't know. They had no idea what scar, what pain that inflicted upon you, and it is still inflicting or having some type of adverse effect on you now, even since you become an adult. It tore down your confidence. It got you to thinking less of yourself when really you should be thinking more of yourself. Some of you concluded that you would never be academically astute, that you're not intelligent enough to function in an institution of learning, higher or otherwise, because you were constantly ingrained with the ideal that you're dumb, you're stupid. How about this one? You'll never amount to anything. And because you've been told on so many occasions that you will never amount to anything, you're afraid to try anything, to chase any of your dreams, to go after your goals and desires, because you've already been convinced that you are a failure and you're stuck. You're stuck. You're still stuck in that time frame of that 8-year-old little girl that you were. when all of this negativity was being spewed at you. Some of you were told you were ugly. You know, won't nobody ever want you. Look at you. They used to tell you, look at you. And if a parent told you that and they thought you were looking pitiful, then that was not an indictment against you. It was an indictment against them. Because when you were a child, it was their responsibility to help you to look the best that you could look. And if they were slack on the job, then shame on them, not shame on you. And some of you have grown up insecure, thinking that you are ugly, and not knowing that you are beautiful. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And listen, you need to tell yourself that you're beautiful. How about this one? Some parents used to say or call their children, you little nappy head bad boy or bad girl or whatever. Gave you no incentive to do any better. It's hard for a person to lift themselves up when they're constantly being beat down by someone else. But here's where I'm going with that. You're still allowing those words to beat you down. And you have the capacity to be able to present yourself in whatever manner you desire to. All of us have flaws about us, you know. As handsome as I am, I know I'm not perfect. Y'all know I got to give y'all a good laugh every now and then. But you know what? I honestly believe there's nothing wrong with telling yourself that you're handsome, that you're pretty, that you have something to offer. And in this day and times in which we live, in a lot of cases, if there's something that we don't particularly like about ourselves, we have ways to modify certain things. Thank you, Sister Tisha. Sister Tisha just posted, hurt people hurt people. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And let me say this, because some of us have not moved on from those hurts of the past, we are inflicting that kind of hurt upon people around us. Some of us have been guilty. Well, let me say some of you have been guilty, because one of the things that I've never done, I've never beat down my children with negativity. I've always told my sons that they were handsome, good looking. I've told my daughters that they were beautiful. I told them that they were smart. I constantly reaffirmed things, you know. When they would do something out of the ordinary or that was outside of the realm of their character that they were developing in, I would say something to them like, oh, come on now, you know better than that. You can do better than that. You're smarter than that now. Don't let that get you down. Don't fall into something like that. I was always encouraging my children. I do it still to this day. I encourage my children as much as I possibly can, because I don't want to be the object of negativity that proves to scar them for life. Now, you got to understand that sometimes, though, no matter how much we lift up and build up our children, some of our children are just going to go the way that they want to go, because the reality is, when our children leave our homes, and even sometimes before they leave our homes, they become influenced by outside influences, and they will pick up things that you did not instill in them. And so I need to release some parents from that, because some parents are, I know there are parents on here right now that are saying, yeah, but I did all that for my child, and yet they wound up this way, that way, or the other way. Well, now, you can't allow yourself to take the blame for your child going in a different direction from what you raised them to be and how you raised them to be. When you know you've been a nurturing parent, a loving parent, and that child decides to go another way, then you can't allow yourself to become stuck in that place where they've laid some kind of guilt trip on you or made you try to feel bad or tried to make you feel bad about your parenting that you've done. When you know that you've done the best that you can, that's another time. If that child chooses to go another way, and even if they try to lay blame on you, you have to keep it moving. Keep it moving. Because even after we become adults, things can occur in our lives where we get stuck. We get affixed on this negative thing, and we allow that thing to just haunt us. It just haunts us. Sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades. And you can get just as stuck in your adulthood as you can in your childhood, or as you did in your childhood. Don't allow yourself to become the prisoner. Some people become a prisoner of a moment, and your imprisonment lasts for a lifetime. Does that make sense? When people hold you prisoner to their perspectives, preferences, problems, and your past, really, in the final analysis, most of the time, the thing that they're holding you to has nothing to do with you, but everything that they're holding against you is totally centered around you. Or should I say, it really has nothing to do with them. That's the better way to say it. It has nothing to do with them, but everything they're holding you to, they've centered around you. I said this, I kind of alluded to it on yesterday. Why should someone else be able to hold you prisoner to anything that has occurred in your past, particularly when what has occurred has nothing to do with them? Let me tell you one of the reasons why people seize those opportunities to hold other people prisoner is because it gives them a sense of empowerment. They have no self-worth in and of themselves, so they have to create a self-worth by demeaning you, holding something over your head, trying to prove to you that you're not perfect. And the reality is, they don't have to prove to you that you not lived a perfect life. You already know that. Again, here I go. In a lot of instances, as they say, you need to say bye, Felicia. Kick rocks, whatever you need to do to dismiss that person and not allow them to have that kind of power over your life. Sometimes we think we're doing it out of respect. Sometimes think we're doing it out of love. No. Listen, if you're doing that out of love, I don't know what the object of your love is. Well, I love my mom. I love my dad. Well, then obviously you don't love yourself because you allow them to continue to inflict that kind of pain upon you when they keep spewing negativity upon you and they keep bringing up the mistakes of your past, whatever they may be, And one of the things that they'll often say, some parents will often say, you just embarrassed me. Well, what about the embarrassment that you inflicted upon yourself? Don't they know that hurt you more than it hurt them? Because most people, when they've, what's the word I want to use? When they've done something that they know is not right, they're the first ones to start regretting what they've done. that individual, most of the time, they would be like, man, if I could take that back. I know some of y'all are sitting there right now saying, boy, there are some things, boy, if I could just take that back. If I could redo that. And unfortunately, we don't get any redos. We don't get any do-overs. You know, you're an adult now. And I think when you become an adult, I believe that adults ought to be able to sit down with their adult parents and have adult conversations. What am I talking about? If your parent, now, I'm not saying you got to go back and relive everything in the past because you want to be released from that. Some things ain't even worth rehashing, ain't even worth reliving. But when a person continues to do something or say negative things, even in the present, that's when you have to stop and say, you know what? I love you. I'm an adult now. And really, I can't take the negativity anymore. That's not who I am. That's not who I am. And if you're going to continue to speak so negatively toward me and say all these negative things about me, Mom, Dad, maybe I need not to, maybe I need to decrease my communication with you until we can learn to respect one another mutually. There's nothing disrespectful about that. You know? I know people say, well, I would never talk to my parent like that because I don't want to disrespect my mama. Well, your mama is disrespecting you. Now, I'm not telling you to go off. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. You got to know how to word things respectfully. Maintain your level of calm and cool. Speak articulately. Let your feelings be known without getting in your feelings. How about that? When you give people so much power, you find yourself remaining stuck in an undesirable place in life. You're just stuck. You absolutely cannot move forward. Some of you cannot move forward because you're still dwelling on something, again, as I stated, that was said about you years ago. You're still dwelling on something or allowing something that you did to haunt you at a different stage in your life. One of the things that you've got to come to the conclusion of is those things in your past. Most of you can look back on those things and declare honestly, I was at a different stage in my life. I was at a different place in my life. I was not as mature then as I am now. You know, just verbalizing that reality will release you and absolve you from the guilt that you may be carrying behind some of those things that you did that you're not proud of. Okay? Talk to yourself. Reason with yourself. I was a kid. Well, some of you say often, I know I've said it before, boy, if I knew then what I know now. How many of you have said that? Well, the reality is you didn't know then what you know now. And that's one of the reasons why you made some of the mistakes that you made. It's because you didn't know better. Release yourself from those places. Release yourself. Move on. Move on. Get over it. Get over it. Now, listen, allow me to be totally clear. I'm by no means suggesting that some things cannot have lifelong effect on you. But there are some things that can affect your life for a very long time. That's a reality. But you can make the final conclusion as to what you're going to give your power to. Okay? You can make the final conclusion that you will not allow certain things to continuously disrupt your life and continuously tear you down. Some of you start building your lives and you start getting better, better and better and better, and then something triggers and you fall right back into the place that you were before you started building. Not only must you decide that you're no longer going to be victimized by your past, but you must also decide that you will no longer live as a prisoner of your past. You're not the only one who has made mistakes in your past. You're not the only one who had to grow through your flaws or the flaws you once had. Believe you me, when it comes to having flaws and having made mistakes in the past, you are in great company. You are not alone. But you may wound up being alone if you don't finally decide to just move on from the things that are holding you back. Now, you don't have to tell everybody about all your mistakes. Some things in your past, no one needs to know but you and the Lord. And watch this. If the Lord is willing to forget them, why can't you be willing to forget them? Some of that forgetting comes with being forgiven. Some people want to never let you forget because they are unwilling to forgive. I mean, think about that. That's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. When a person is unwilling to forgive, they are unwilling to forget. And they want to continuously inflict guilt and pain upon you by constantly bringing up your past. Well, here's what you got to do. You got to keep it moving. You got to, again, acknowledge the fact that you cannot undo what has already been done. The only reprieve we have in life is to make the most of the next moment and move on from the past. It's not that last moment that's so important. It's the moments you're experiencing right now. Those future moments that are to come. Those are the most important moment. They're most important. Those moments. They are the most important moment. Consider, if you will, great athletes. I love sports. I watch sports a lot. I get into sports. I get deeply into sports because at one time I was pretty good athlete. Well, I was okay. I was good enough to get on the basketball court, and I was good enough to get on the football field, and I wasn't always the last one picked on the playground. But I want you to think about great athletes. It is said of great athletes that they are great at engaging instant amnesia. What do you mean, Bishop? Whenever they make a mistake, they forget about it instantly and they move on to the next play immediately. They don't have time to dwell on their mistake. Why is that? Because the game is not going to stop and wait for them to get their head together and afterwards the game resumes. No, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. That athlete, yeah, and you'll see a lot of times if you watch sports real closely, if you watch the sidelines, or if you look into the dugout after a bad play has been made, or if you look at the coach on the sideline of a basketball game, when that player makes a bad play, a great mistake, for that football player, when that player comes off the field, you'll notice that a coach will go directly to that player And most of the time, he's not fussing at that player. He'll tell that player, okay, it's all right. It's all right. Everybody makes mistakes. Let's move on from that. You'll see other players come on over and pat the player on the shoulder, or give them some type of dap, or whatever. Tell them, say, hey man, don't worry about it. You got to keep your head in the game. You got to stay with us. You know, you'll see that basketball coach, although, because basketball is constantly moving fast all the time, there's not the breaks that there is in football and baseball between plays. It's rapidly moving. Sometimes when that player has made a bad play on the basketball court, you might see the coach do something like this to the player, like, okay, all right, just slow down, take your time, think about it, get your head back in the game. Don't allow yourself to be affected by your last play. Well, life is not going to wait for you to get your thinking together and then resume once you do. That's not how life works. It doesn't happen that way. So, because time waits for no one, you have to keep it moving. Keep it moving. Move on from your mistakes. Move on from your hurts. Move on from the lies. Move on from the labels. Move on from regrets. And here's the one that may be the most painful, but sometimes the most needed. Move on from some people. Sometimes you just have to move on. Y'all might call me a television nerd or whatever. I'm okay. But I still like watching the older sitcoms, the ones in black and white. And every now and then I watch Gomer Pyle. I still watch Gomer Pyle. MeTV, yeah, I watch it. I still watch Gomer Pyle. And y'all remember Sergeant Carter? Yeah, somebody already put it up there. Y'all see right where I'm going, Sheila Frazier. Sergeant Carter used to command his troops, and one of the things he was known for saying was, move it, move it, move it. Yeah, that's the way you have to treat life sometimes. You got to move it, move it, move it. And I'm telling you, when you move it, move it, move it, when you keep it moving and not allow life and life situations and circumstances to trap you into a bad season or trap you into something that is going to affect you for a lifetime, you got to move it, move it, move it, move it, move it. Keep it moving. I love that, Sister Sheila. It's legal to speed away. That's good. I love that. You ought to print that on a t-shirt. It's legal to speed away from unnecessary stuff, from bad stuff, from things that are going to negatively affect you for a lifetime. It's legal to speed away from some people. Some people you have to kind of distance yourself slowly, and really, as you distance yourself slowly, you still have to be within visual distance of that individual. And why am I saying that? Is because some of those ties are so strong, like your ties with your children, and as painful as that may be, sometimes you have to put some distance there because that child has gotten to a place where there's no reasoning with that child, but yet there's still a love in your heart for that person, but then some people you have to put in your rear view mirror until they become so small you no longer can see them. They're so far away you no longer can hear them. Oh, wow, Pastor. Yeah. Sister Tisha said, chuck up the deuces. Yeah. You got to do it at times. Keep it moving. There's so much more in life for you, so much more living to be done, so much more positivity in life to be experienced, so much greatness for you to exhibit through your life. And you don't want these small things to hold you back. Well, God bless you. That's my time for today. That is my time for today. Again, I love you guys. I hope this has been a blessing to you. I hope you're now moved and inspired to move on from some things you know that have been nothing more than a detriment to your well-being, a detriment to your success, a detriment to your moving forward or your forward moving, however way you want to say it. But I hope you've truly been inspired. Sister Lachelle just posted, it's okay to say goodbye. And that kind of reminded me of something when she said that. I was talking to my brother some time ago, my brother Bishop Otis L. Cobbins Jr., the pastor of Bread of Life East Church. And we were having this conversation, and we were talking about people who leave the church, because it happens everywhere. And a lot of times, you all have heard me say this, that sometimes people, when they leave church, they try to do damage on the way out. They try to do serious damage on the way out. And we were having this discussion a little while ago. And he said, brother, I'm going to say to you, as a dear friend said to me, he said, you got to learn to see the good in goodbye. Sometimes, although we hate to say goodbye to certain things and certain people, we got to look beyond our feelings and learn to see the good in goodbye. Now, I'm not going to tell y'all goodbye today. I'm going to say, I'm going to end it right here, and I expect to be with you all again this evening. Y'all thought I was going to say tomorrow. But I expect to be with you all this evening for our TNT Bible study. And that reminds me, all of you that'll be connecting will be coming on just about 15 minutes later today. I have to transition from one class into another class so I can be with you all, but I'm going to need some time for that transitioning period. So I look forward to seeing you all this evening at about 7:15. Keep your notifications on, because your notifications will alert you as to exactly when we're coming on. Again, before I leave on today, I want to remind you to hit that thumbs up button if you've appreciated what's been shared with you here today and what's being shared on this particular platform each and every morning, Monday through Fridays. Hit that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Turn your notifications on. Again, if you are interested in sending something, a topic to me that you would love for me to discuss, or just have a question or whatever, you can send it to my email, theshepherd@canaanwc.org, theshepherd@canaanwc.org. Sister Tisha has posted it in the chat box a couple of times, but I believe she'll do it one more time for me before we get off today. All right. So there you have it. I would love to hear from you. It's been a joy. I appreciate all of your comments that you've contributed to the discussion and conversation today. If it's been a blessing to you, also reach out and tell somebody else, share some with somebody else, and let them know what's actually taking place every morning, Monday through Friday. God bless you all. I love you, and I look forward to seeing the most of you this evening, or being with you, the most of you this evening. And those who will not be joining us this evening, I look forward to you joining us again tomorrow morning at the same time. God bless you. Love you. Have a blessed and prosperous day.